Hello everybody, welcome back to another weather forecast here by 80+ Forecast. This will be another severe weather forecast as the tropics have now kind of cooled down. Now that Faye has already made landfall, Christina has yet to even be a hurricane and is continuing the weekend. I do apologize for posting a lot later than usual. It is my mom's birthday and I was actually out doing many things, including going to some some waterfall up there near the Appalachians, not too far off where I am. But be sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel, hit the like button, and also the post notification icon to get notified as soon as I post a video. We're going to be focusing on the potential for a huge severe weather event for the South Central all the way to the Midwest. We do have an enhanced risk today, and we're going to be seeing some very significant hail. Could possibly see softball, if not larger hail, and maybe a tornado or two are likely here. But here we are into the severe weather forecast, and let's get into it. So here's a look at the National Weather Service, and they have now updated the severe thunderstorm watches now for portions of Iowa and Minnesota. So like I said, we're going to be seeing some severe weather. The strongest of it actually will be right here in the South Central, right here where we have the enhanced risk. But we have a very widespread slight risk as well for portions of the Midwest, and we're continuing to sort of see some nice storms here. We actually just got a tornado warning here for areas right here into northern Minnesota near Detroit Lakes right there. So we just got a tornado warning there. So stay you might want to be in shelter if you're near Detroit Lakes and Minnesota. And then we have multiple severe thunderstorm warnings out here near Wilmer, Marshall, and then at Minneapolis, St. Paul are just outside the severe thunderstorm watches. And then we also have some severe thunderstorm warnings for portions of Kansas. This is where we're going to see that really strong severe weather near Kansas City, areas near Wichita, up to areas into near Miami, Oklahoma, and Tulsa. You guys are going to get some really strong storms today. And we also have a severe thunderstorm warning near Kankakee, Illinois right there. But we also have these severe thunderstorm watches in effect near Marshalltown, Waterloo, Manson City, Fort Large, Storm Lake. And then we also have, of course, areas into Minnesota, Abbott Lee, Rochester, Worthington. And now let's go and check out now the day one outlook here to see who's in the threat and who can see the worst of it. So here's the SPC outlook for day one. We do have a very widespread slight risk all the way from Minnesota to portions of the Ohio Valley and lower Mississippi River Basin, all the way to portions of the Southern Plains. So we have a very, very widespread risk. Arkansas, Mississippi, Tennessee, Louisiana, not Louisiana, Kentucky, Indiana, Illinois, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Iowa, Missouri, Kansas, Oklahoma. A lot of people under a slight risk. And then we have this enhanced risk. And this actually reminds me of the this kind of reminds me of the beginning of May when all we saw was enhanced risk in these general areas, in the exact areas. The Mississippi, Kansas, Oklahoma, and Arkansas border, those that little junction right here really saw a lot of severe weather in late April and early May, so this kind of reminds me of that. So we are starting to see that severe weather now going back into the South Central and also plains like we've been seeing the past enhanced risk. We saw one for Nebraska and Kansas, and now we're seeing it going back down now to the South Central. Tulsa, Miami, Kansas City, Joplin, and also far northwestern Arkansas. You guys are under the enhanced risk. Tornado probability is low at a 2% chance, but obviously if you're still under a probability for tornadoes, just be on the lookout here, and if it's necessary, just take cover. Be sure just to be ready just in case, even though you're only at a 2% chance. That 2% chance is including all the areas under the enhanced risk, and then a little area out there near Waterloo and just north of Des Moines, Iowa. Hail threats really high, like I said. We have a 30% chance significant risk, including those areas in the enhanced risk, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Missouri, and Kansas. And then, of course, where we have that 50% chance for hail is also where we have that slight risk, and then the 30% chance significant risk for winds as well. So, you're going to be seeing some very strong winds, possibly 90+ miles an hour likely. And then, of course, we have a ton of people under the slight risk for wind, including Little Rock, Oklahoma City, Kansas City, St. Louis, Washington, Peoria, Paducah, and even Memphis. And then that is today's severe weather risk. And now let's go and check out now at the NAM3 CAM model, the CAPE, the CAP, and also the SCP. Here's a look at the NAM 3KM model. As you see, some very strong storms will develop later in the day for portions of Kansas, Missouri. Of course, that's exactly the storm right here where we have that severe thunderstorm warning right now for portions just out of Kansas City. These storms are really going to become really strong. Of course, these storms very well likely producing some very strong winds here. And that's going to be heading, of course, in those areas near Tulsa, areas just south of Joplin, and also out there in Kansas. And those strong storms will continue to move near the Memphis area and as well for portions near Tennessee, near Clarksville. Let's go now and check out now the Midwest threat here, as we do have a slight risk for these areas. Of course, we have this potential tornado warning for this storm right here and near Detroit Lake, so be sure to watch out for that. And then we are seeing these really strong storms producing really scattered storms for portions of near south of Illinois or south of Chicago, and then you're going to possibly head out into Indianapolis. Very strong storms heading towards Iowa City, and also some strong storms out there at the border of Iowa right there. And then those will have multiple potential supercells likely here in western Missouri and southern Kansas. Same possibly here for Iowa and Illinois. So we can very well see some very widespread tornado warnings here. One for Illinois, possibly one for Minnesota, one here, one there, one there. So we can see a decent amount of tornado warnings today. Now let's go and check out now also the cap and how much energy we're seeing, and also whether it's going to cap out or if cap can break today. Here's a the CAPE numbers here for currently right now. So we are seeing some very good amounts of numbers here for a portion of the South Central right now, which is exactly why we are seeing those main severe thunderstorm threats there right now. But as we are seeing a little good numbers here for Iowa, Minnesota, Missouri. You guys are seeing those numbers continuing to increase as we go on today. But as of now, the strongest and the biggest numbers are right here for Oklahoma, Kansas, and Texas here, 3,900 and possibly surpassing 4,000 joules per kilogram. But as we now get later into the evening, this is when the numbers really go up for portions of Missouri, Iowa, and Illinois, which is where we have a slight risk. We also possibly can reach 5,300 joules per kilogram. 5,000 right here, exactly 5,000 joules per kilogram at this point in Illinois. So right there in the Mississippi River, we could very well see a very big threat for storms, possibly whether they are semi-discrete or discrete, maybe even supercells. And here the numbers really increase right here, because this is where we have the enhanced risk right here. This is where we have the enhanced risk right there. So we have possibly 5,100 joules per kilogram for northeastern Oklahoma near Tulsa. 4,500 joules per kilogram near Joplin, 4,900 joules per kilogram near southeastern Kansas, and also portions of Texas and Arkansas, surpassing 4,500 joules per kilogram. And as we get in the overnight hours, you can definitely see we are still seeing some nice numbers for overnight hours. Can possibly see 2,900 joules per kilogram here, and possibly surpassing 3,000 joules per kilogram for the Oklahoma area. And then tomorrow we can possibly have some nice numbers as well for the South Central, maybe a marginal, if not slight risk is likely for tomorrow. Let's go now and check out now the cap values here, the CIN. Obviously, the more the cap, the worse for severe weather development. So you want to have very little cap here so that storms can produce without an issue. As we now get in the next coming hours, as you see, we're not going to be seeing too much cap in these areas where we have that severe weather risk. We do have negative 63 for the Oklahoma area near Tulsa, negative 83 near southeastern Kansas, negative 91 for portions of south central Kansas, portions of Missouri, negative 148, negative 123, negative 111. Even the little areas in Iowa can be seen lower than negative 110, and even for Illinois, negative 115. And as we get later in the evening hours, we're still going to be seeing possibly some nice numbers here, possibly negative 43 here for Arkansas, negative 97 as these storms do not go in the really early morning for tomorrow. Then things will cap out. Last thing we'll be looking at here is the SCP, or the supercell composite parameter. This is going to measure the probability for supercells. Supercells bring in very strong rotation, which could possibly bring tornadoes, very large hail, and damaging winds. Right now, we are seeing a lower numbers as of now, since it is getting earlier, and it is 1:40 at Central Time. So that's not really the time you really see storms really at the worst. That's kind of in between 4 or 7 o'clock. But we are already seeing 10, 10, possibly an 11 on the SCP already. But as we now get later in the afternoon and evening, we have potentially a 31 and maybe even beyond a 35 here on the SCP, which is actually a very good reading here on the right here on the photograph. As we actually see if this actually loads, we can possibly see whether we do have a potential for a nice or higher STP. Even a 14, 17, some nice numbers here for portions of the lower Mississippi River Basin, but some really nice numbers here. 31 on the SCP there. And then as we get later in the afternoon, or sorry, later in the evening, then storms kind of sort of fall apart there, especially with the cap. I hope you guys did enjoy this video. Be sure to subscribe if you're new, like the video if you liked it, and also hit the post notification icon so you know as soon as I post a video.